Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is KJ Ricardo and today's episode is a very special video on my YouTube channel because I'm going to be reviewing the 2018 Christmas specials of I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm going to be reviewing the colorized episodes of some of the most classic episodes of these shows. So let's get started with first the I Love Lucy Christmas show. CBS colorizes this episode every year. It's always a tradition for the holidays. This is a nice episode. It was during the final season of I Love Lucy. And basically it takes place on Christmas Eve. And the Ricardos and the Mertzes are getting ready for Christmas. They're decorating the Christmas tree and they're reminiscing about the past. And so we get a lot of flashbacks to previous episodes, some of the most iconic moments on I Love Lucy, when Lucy tells Ricky that they're expecting a child. That's a very classic, memorable moment on I Love Lucy, and a lot of fans would remember that. But we also get the scene from the barbershop quartet, and that's also a really great scene. But then of course we also get the scene from when Lucy goes to the hospital. So overall, this episode is nice. It allows fans, maybe some people who haven't seen a lot of these episodes, some of these classic moments, it allows them to watch these scenes again and just remember how much they love I Love Lucy. And so this is always a tradition and it's great. But the next episode was Pioneer Women, and this episode was colorized for the very first time. I was really excited to watch this episode. The colorization looked great. So that's my first general thought, is that the colorization looked excellent between the costumes and the set designs. Everything just looked really well done. It was a very visually aesthetic and appealing episode. Now there was just one complaint that I did have, is that in the scene when Lucy is baking the bread, this is a very classic moment, she's baking the bread and the loaf, the dough, just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And at one point in the original show, she says, "Well, it's a happy little loaf, ain't it?" That is one of my favorite lines in the entire episode. It's so funny, but unfortunately CBS cut it out of the episode to make room for commercials. I understand that that has to happen, but they could have cut out another line and kept that very memorable line in the episode, but that's just my opinion. Of course, this episode leads up to the most iconic moment. This is the scene that every fan knows, or everybody knows this scene from I Love Lucy, and so I have a clip of this, so enjoy. When CBS announced that they would be colorizing this episode, I didn't realize how great it would be until I was actually watching it, how visual the colors would be. The costumes are great in color, and so I definitely agree. I can see why CBS chose to colorize this episode. I mean, these costumes look great in color, and so it's nice to see what those costumes really looked like, or as close as CBS can get to the original colors. And so my overall thoughts are that this was an excellent special between the classic I Love Lucy Christmas episode and the Pioneer Women. Everything was great. The colorization was spot on and it was very enjoyable. It was like I was watching the episodes for the very first time. I was experiencing it like I would have been in the studio audience in 1950. It was just such a great episode, and so thumbs up to CBS. Moving on to the Dick Van Dyke Show. They colorized Never Bathe on Saturday. It was the first episode, and I was really looking forward to watching this episode. If you're familiar with this episode, Rob and Laura are staying at a hotel, and it's almost like a second honeymoon for them. They are very flirtatious. It's really funny to see their romance. And Rob, he draws on a mustache, and it's just a great episode. But then Of course, Laura gets her toe stuck in the faucet of the bathtub. This is a memorable moment. Carl Reiner specifically chose this episode because it highlights Dick Van Dyke, and I definitely agree. This episode really focuses on Rob and how he tries to help Laura. Again, the colorization was spot on. It was amazing to see these colors. 1960s. You can't really get any better than the 1960s with Laura's pink robe and her jacket that she wears and Rob's sports jacket. Everything was just really well done. I was very pleased. And then the next episode was Where Did I Come From? And I was even more excited for this episode because it's in my top 10 list of the best Dick Van Dyke episodes. Richie wants to learn about the day that he was born and the night before he was born. And so Rob and Laura settle down to tell him the story. So it is a flashback episode. We get the night before, and this is a very funny, hilarious scene. Rob, of course, is very frantic. He's a nervous, waiting, expectant father, and so he thinks that Laura is going to pop any moment now. He's so nervous he doesn't get any sleep, and it's just hilarious to see. Of course, Dick Van Dyke does great in this episode too, which is another reason why Carl Reiner chose this episode. Then we get the very classic, iconic moment when Rob runs into the house wearing Buddy's pants. And this was a very visually appealing scene. And so I have a clip of this scene in color, so enjoy.
That sounds like him.
Hey, look out!
Oh my goodness.
It sounds like Rob ran into the taxi. If it was Rob. Oh, it was Rob.
Hey,
Nick, what's the matter with you? Are you all right? What are those pants?
Never mind my pants, honey.
Again, I was really pleased with the colorization of this episode. Just looking at this photo right here, it looks amazing. Laura's blouse that she's wearing is excellent. It's really visually appealing, and just everything about this episode was really nice to watch. Again, it was like I was watching the episode for the very first time, and so I really enjoyed this special. Overall, I really enjoyed this year's Colorized special. I thought it was really well done, both the episodes of I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show. The colors looked great. Everything was very visual, appealing. It was just spot on and very well done. And so I support the Colorized specials. Of course, there's nothing like the original black and white episodes. That is how they were intended. But I enjoy these Colorized specials because they're introducing new fans to I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show. They're introducing new generations of fans to these classic old Hollywood television sitcoms. And so I will always support that. I think it's great that I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show are still popular enough to have these specials in 2018, 50 and 60 years after the shows premiered. And so I will always support that. Let me know what you thought of this year's Colorized specials. Did you like it? Did you have any complaints? What do you want CBS to colorize for next year? I have my own thoughts and suggestions, but I'm eager to see what you guys think. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. And happy holidays. I hope you're able to spend it with your loved ones. And thanks for watching. And remember to always laugh often.